we met a couple months ago. I met first, we met Leah, Wild Ones, and she won a trip to Africa. And y'all said, ain't no way y'all taking her without us. You bunch of yahoos ain't taking my kids nowhere. But the Lord worked, and we watched these guys raise, way over $10,000 in a very short amount of time so that their family could all go to Africa. And I'd like to say I get all the credit because I spent an hour bumbling through fundraising. You guys did a bunch of fundraising things. Can you just kind of talk us through what that was like? We're going to try to drink in and learn how to raise money from some people who just raised a bunch of it. So Brandon and Laura, Far-Flung loves you.
We love you guys too. We're so thankful to have gotten connected with you guys, and we're so thankful to be here. Like he said, Leo won a trip. So Brandon was out of town with our youngest at a soccer tournament. I was in the mountains at a women's retreat. Leah called that afternoon and said, hey, they're giving away a mission trip, and they're gonna help build a water tower for kids who don't have water. I wanna go so bad. And I'm like, that's awesome. That sounds incredible. Maybe you'll get it. Fast forward 7 hours. My kid calls me screaming and crying, I'm going to Africa. What? Okay. So we meet with Kyle, and like he said, we found out, we met with Kyle like at the end of March. Africa was at the end of May, which meant we had about 8 weeks to raise our money.
Because you had one free trip.
And
the other trip, that's how we get people. We give a trip to a family of 7, and we say, she gets it free, the rest of y'all gotta pay for it. And so I think when we sat down, it was like we needed to raise minimum just to get it going, like $7,500 in a matter of weeks, months, something like that.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks. So this was our first mission trip. We had never fundraised for anything like this. So we were clueless. We're like, is this even possible? Like, how do we even go about this?
Yeah. So then Brandon stood just on the corner, shirtless, saying, would you give money to help my family?
They were throwing money, y'all.
They were throwing money at it.
There was rocks. So basically what happened, we were kind of freaked out because of how much money we had to raise. So we called Brian and we're like, hey dude, how we do this? He kind of walked us through who do you contact first? Make a list of people that you know. It doesn't have to be just all super close friends. It doesn't have to be super close family. One thing I would say is listen to God on this. So Laura had a friend that popped into her mind, and this is somebody we haven't seen for, 6 years? Probably 6 years. And we used to go to church with this person. They no longer went to our church. So I'll let Laura tell this story. She's a little bit better at storytelling than I am. I'm more of a facts person, but.
So, shampooing my hair, God says, reach out to this girl. And I'm like, God, I am not calling her and asking her for money. I have not talked to her in years. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. God tells me again, you need to reach out to this girl. That makes me so uncomfortable. I'm not going to do it. I don't reach out to her that day. The next day, God tells me again, reach out to her. So Brandon helps me write the text, because I'm like, what do I even say? We haven't gone to lunch. We haven't got coffee. This is so awkward. I reach out to her that night, we write the text, we send it. The next morning, I hear my Venmo go off.
Cha-ching.
Yes. I go check it. That girl that God told me to contact just sent us $2,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna need her number. That's how you fundraise. You get that girl's number from this girl right here.
But what if I had, argued with God and not been obedient? Not only would we not have been blessed, but we would have taken that blessing from her. because she wanted to sow into this trip. She wanted to sow into this ministry. And so if God tells you to reach out to somebody, just do it. Just do it. You don't know why you're reaching out to that person. Just be obedient. If I would have argued and not done it, it would have robbed us of so much.
Yeah, we were so surprised by the amount. We were like, oh, maybe she put the decimal in the wrong spot. So we're like, I said, Lord, you've got to call her and make sure that she didn't put too many zeros, or whatever. But yeah, she was like, no, that's for you guys. We love Africa. We want you to go. We want your family to be blessed. I would say also that as far as the same lines, reach out to businesses, people that that own businesses and things. If they give money, it could be a tax write-off. So we presented that to several people, and they gave us money, and Far-Flung sends them the tax forms and all that, so they get a write-off on that. It's just like giving to the church. So they would write the check to Far-Flung. Far-Flung would put the money onto our trip, and then, they would get the tax write-off, but it would still go to our trip. So be thinking about that. Also, think about some of the people that I contacted are not like rich people. They're more like me. They're normal people, and sometimes the richest people out there don't look rich. Don't take that away from them either. We've had some people that I did not know if they had the money or not. God, like she said, God put them on our hearts, and we would ask and just let God direct you. Listen to God.
Right, because they may not give if you don't ask. They may want to sow into you. They may want to sow into a ministry, but if you don't ask them, they may never get the opportunity to do it. So don't discount anybody. Just ask, just put it out there. The businesses, I'm going to piggyback on that. If you guys go to the Mexican restaurant once a week, hit up the manager. They can sponsor ball teams. You always go into restaurants and see the pictures of the ball teams hanging behind the counter. Why not sow into a water project or the floating islands? They may be interested in doing that. You might be surprised. Just get out there and ask. You might be surprised in who sows.
I think sometimes it's like once you ask a couple people and you'll end up getting a win, somebody's going to give, and you're like, wait a minute, I think I can do this. And then like all of the scary parts start to subside. Right. And you're like, okay. And we've talked several times about like just the nuts and bolts of asking. If you'll make a list, and you've heard them talk about that list several times, if you'll make a list, then whenever you talk to somebody, you have a go-to. Hey, listen, I made a list of people that I thought might have a heart for missions, and your name was on it. So now it's not me. I had to do it. Your name was on the list. I'm sorry. I had to call you. Your name was on the list. It's not me. It's the list. Right? You're creating this other thing. Your name was on the list. And so I just thought I'd reach out, and then giving people like permission to say no.
Yeah, give them permission to say no. And as far as that list goes, what we did was we used the Notes app on our iPhone. And so we made a list of everybody that we were getting in contact with. And it's a living document, so that if I made a change to it, she could see it. It's kind of like Dropbox paper. So if she made a change to it, I could see it. But a lot of people would say, hey, I will donate $50 to this. Like most of the people were not that $2,000. That was a special circumstance. But some people would just say, I want to donate $20. So we would write in on their chart $20 and then put a question mark if they haven't given yet. I would follow back up with these people. And as far as how you get in touch with these people, it's personal. So you may want to call the people on the phone. You may want to go to them personally. I had people that I went to personally. I hate talking on the phone, so I didn't do a lot of phone calls. But what I did was I send a lot of emails at work. So I feel like in an email or a text, I can be more specific about what the story is. That's another thing. Make sure you tell your story about why you're going. It was pretty easy for us, yeah, because it was like Leah won this trip to go to Africa, and I can't send them with these guys because I don't know them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all know them now. They're good dudes. But, you know, I'm thinking we've got to all go. If Leah's going, I could send Laura with her. But then I've got another daughter, Emma. She's going to want to go. She's going to be upset. So we're all going, you know. But
Well, and going back on letting it be okay to say no, every person we asked gave something, and then we hit that person that said no. You know, and we had said the whole time, it's okay to say no, like, but I'm not gonna lie, that first no, it hurt, okay? But I'm so thankful that person said no, and here's why. We had been friends with them for a long time, and they're very wealthy. Like, they could probably paid for a whole trip, and it wouldn't have even dented their bank account, right? So when they said no, it made us pause and realize, okay, God is using people. Our provision is not from people. God is our provision. And so his no really made us, it shifted our mindset that we are relying on God. If God wants us to be in Africa, he's gonna provide the people to get us to Africa. And it shifted our vision, because you know, we're trying to raise money super quick. It shifted it off, this person can give me money, it's all from God. So if a person says no, don't let it hurt your feelings. God does not want to use that person to get you out into the world, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But it took that person saying no for us to, like, we knew it, you know, I mean, you know, everything comes from God, but it really took that person saying no for us to be like, okay, this is not from man.
Especially when it's somebody you think, man, they'll probably give. At least something they'll probably give. And then you ask them and it's like nothing, crickets. I got people who still won't answer my phone calls now. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. I hated them anyways, you know. I didn't. Renee's gonna come. I want you guys to give us, like, both kind of just share anything kind of like last minute tips, the biggest thing you could tell somebody, most important thing you could kind of give as she comes. She's gonna finish us out before lunch.
I would think just be creative. You know, you don't just have to text people. You don't just have to call people. If you bake, if you paint pictures, like, you can use your talent to raise money for your trip. One of the things we did, we made t-shirts, and you know, that added, you know, about $1,000 to our trip from selling t-shirts. There are pros and cons to doing that. You know, you get a portion of the proceeds. So somebody who bought a t-shirt, we got about half of that. So, you know, it's super easy. You don't have to think about it. You just put it out there, people buy, they ship it, but it is a little bit less money that you receive. But it was just super easy, and now we have these t-shirts. This is one of the hoodies we made. We have these t-shirts as a, you know, kind of memento of this whole extraordinary thing that we got to do. So just be creative. Just be creative. Think outside the box of ways that you can do this. But I think you'll be surprised at how many people will support you. It was a very humbling thing. Having never been through fundraising, it was so humbling to see how many people poured into our family because they wanted to see God move in our family. And it was just very touching.
yeah, this, I'll say this too. If you're feeling like going on a trip and never been on one, we kind of got pulled into this one. It was like a God thing. But man, he's flipped our whole world upside down since we've been to Africa. And it's amazing. If God wants you to go, you tell your story. You tell the people your story, because everybody has a reason that you're going. It's not just, it's not a vacation. You know, it's God is pulling you. Tell your story, and just be real with people. You know, they will support what is real. Our world is surrounded by fake. And man, just to be able to go and pray with the kids and be a part of the water tower dedication and all. Man, it's been life-changing for us. Absolutely.
Applebee's don't mind asking for money. Target don't mind asking for money. Walmart asks for your money. Amazon Prime asks for your money. Everybody else asks for money all the time. And we have the most important thing in the world, the gospel. It's okay to ask for money. It's okay for them to say no. So as we give people permission to say no, it might be kind of like, hey, your bill, you may have a bunch of hospital bills. So like, hey, man, if you need money down the road, you tell me. I'll give you, if I got a little bit, I'll give to you. You're giving people that permission. You're making those lists. You're following the Lord, tethered to the Lord the whole time. But sometimes you just need somebody to tell you, go raise the money. And so like that's like when we all met the first time. I was like, listen, you can do this. Whatever works for you, let it work for you. I hate bake sales. I ain't making no T-shirts. I like asking people for money because I don't feel weird about it. I've done it enough now where it's like second nature. I ask everybody for money. I ask people I don't hardly even know. I ask the lady who does my nails. No, I don't get my nails done, but like, I'll ask everybody. It doesn't matter. And then it demystifies it. And let me say this. If you need help with fundraising, feel free to reach out to them or me or us when you see us around. Brandon Lunsford at gmail.com. No, I'm just kidding. It's close.
Well,
yeah.
and I will say this, it was uncomfortable for us at first because we had never done it, but get outside your comfort zone. The reward is so much greater than that hesitation in asking.
Yeah, I love that. The reward is greater than like oh no, were they gonna hate me? Are we gonna lose a friend? If you lose a friend over that, they weren't your friend. Right. And I'll be your friend, so it don't matter.
And you'll find out that you probably have friends, closer friends than you knew you had.
If you need to raise some money, will you raise your hand right now? If you need to raise some money. Lord, would you pray for them?
Father God, we thank you and we praise you because you are the Lord of provision. We thank you that you meet our needs, Father. And Lord, I pray for every person who raised their hand in this place, Lord, and who raised their hand out watching online. Father, you put a desire in their heart to go into the world and spread your good news and share your love. So, Father, I pray you just bless them in supernatural ways, that you would provide for them to go, Father. You have called us to go. And so, Lord, I pray that you would just give them favor, that you would give them boldness to be able to go and ask. Lord, I pray that you would put people in their path that would provide for them, Lord, and would sow into their trips, Lord. Lord, I'm just thanking you in advance because you are going to be sending out missionaries, Lord, because you are going to provide. And we thank you and we love you in your precious name.